Harvey was born into the world upside down, back to front, and was christened Harvey Miloš Krumpetsky. His father's name was Maciek, a lumberjack with hands as big as shovels and hair that smelt of pine needles. His mother's name was Liliana, a weary woman with lead in her veins from working in a mine. She was obsessed with counting her fingers and had conversations with people that just weren't there. The other villagers stayed well clear. But she didn't need friends, now that she had her miracle. Harvey grew strong and healthy. He had his father's ears and his mother's open heart. But soon, his parents began to notice peculiarities. He began to have odd twitches and liked to touch things with his index finger, for no reason at all. When he met someone, he had to touch them on the nose. The doctor said he had Tourette syndrome, a brain disorder that meant he couldn't control his impulses. It was like trying to control a sneeze. There was no cure or explanation. At school, Harvey was called a thick. His friend was Bogusz. Bogusz stuttered and had problems with his mucus. The other kids threw stones, and together they were tricked, teased, and tortured. As Harvey grew taller and stronger, his mother grew shorter and madder, slowly fizzling into insanity. Often she'd mistake him for an intruder. Harvey followed in his father's footsteps. He liked working with him, but at times felt he needed to be alone with his problems. He'd ponder the world beyond, wishing for things to change. And suddenly they did. He returned to find his home burnt to the ground. His mother had left the stove burning in the night, and Harvey found his parents nearby, frozen. But there was more to come. Harvey escaped and found himself on a ship bound for a place called Australia. His world was turned upside down and back to front. Again. Harvey ended up in a small suburb called Spotswood. He rented a small house with 11 other migrants and tried to assimilate as best he could, changing his name from Harvey Krumpetsky to Harvey Crumpet. He got a job, and many years went by as he saved his money and tried not to indulge. Life didn't change much. In the evenings, he'd learn English off an old television he'd found amongst the rubbish. He put little curtains on it and found it a mesmerizing source of facts. The first thing he ever watched was a Busby Berkeley film. At work, he tried to make friends, but for Harvey, it wasn't easy. Harvey's skull had split in half. The doctors inserted a steel plate between his scalp and skull and laced it up with 19 stitches. He was left with a scar that looked like he'd had a lobotomy. He left the dump and tried new jobs. He seemed to get sacked a lot. He didn't know why. One time, Harvey got a job collecting golf balls. This is where he got struck by lightning. But he survived, and even made it into the local newspaper. Harvey kept collecting facts, and one morning discovered one about himself. His steel plate had become magnetized from the lightning strike. Harvey made the papers. Again. Despite his enlightenment, physical problems still plagued him. One of his testicles developed cancer and had to be removed. But this was when he met Nurse Valerie Burstle. She had everything he didn't, and was everything he wasn't. Yet instantly, their pheromones fizzled together like ice cream and lemonade. They decided to get married and had the ceremony in Cancer Ward 9. Harvey and Val went to bed early every night and tried to get pregnant. But there was not enough sperm in Harvey's lonely testicle, and he was declared sterile. They decided to adopt and came across a little thalidomide girl. They related to her immediately, took her home, and named her Ruby after Val's mother. So little limbless Ruby, big bold Val, and magnetic Harvey became a family. Harvey gave up working and dedicated his time to teaching Ruby what he knew about the world. He taught her that animals had rights too, and to always respect the environment, as well as herself. For every new fact she remembered, he would stick a gold star to her wall. She adored her father. He was full of tricks and was like having her own private clown. At school, Ruby excelled. She went into university and came out a lawyer, then moved to America and started her own practice, championing the rights of the disabled. Harvey and Val were extremely proud. On Harvey's 65th birthday, Valerie's brain clotted, and she died. It was such a shock. She'd never been sick. Harvey was all alone again. He had his daughter, but she was so far away. He became a hermit and stopped washing. His mind wandered slowly into senility. It wasn't long before they took him away, when a neighbor found him trying to withdraw money from the microwave. So began the last phase of Harvey's life at Pleasant Paddocks. He shared a room with a man called Hamish McGrumble. Hamish looked like something off a tin of shortbread and had nostril hair that looked like he was housing a family of spiders. He was 94 years old and had given up the will to die. He also had Alzheimer's and had recently burnt his ear trying to answer the iron. Harvey and Hamish pretended to dislike each other. Harvey often stole Hamish's teeth, returned them, and then showed him where they'd been. But Hamish always had his revenge. Harvey was going to enjoy what time he had left, and he smiled for the first time in a long while as he waited for the invisible bus. He knew it would never come, but he didn't mind.